Hey guys, welcome to rewiring your old Beetle or vintage Beetle, reusing the old wiring. I've done a lot of research online looking into reusing the old wires, and the guys are very keen on just chucking it out and spending in our country R2,500 on a new cable. And when a car is worth about 15 grand or so, if you're lucky, that doesn't really make sense to spend that kind of money. So what I've done is I've compiled a video for you. It's going to be in a couple of parts on how to reuse your wiring. In some cases, maybe your car has been standing for a long time or rotting wherever, and the wiring is unusable. There obviously are other ways to do that. Um, in that case, I'd maybe say rip out your whole loom, start from scratch, copy what's there with new wires, new colors, whatever. But in our case, Papa Smurf is going to be our donor vehicle. It's a vehicle of my brother's, and we're going to redo a little bit of work on Papa Smurf and see how she goes. And on that note, Jordan, this is for you. You might always be older than me, but our Beatles will always be older than you. So have a lucky birthday. This is dedicated to you. I hope I don't ramble too much on about rubbish and about nonsense, and I'm sure my facts are okay. But yeah, sit back, enjoy. Part 1 is going to basically pertain to identifying where the wires go, what needs to be done, and part 2 will obviously be testing and finalizing the harness depending on where we end up. So yeah, let's do this. Okay, so here we have Papa Smurf. For obvious reasons, she's got this name. All the Beetles in our family have got male names, but affectionately they are technically females. We saved this old girl from a very interesting fate. A guy was building a trike and was going to use her as a donor. So I think at that stage he'd really taken the engine away and he chopped up the fenders. You can see that a little bit of a different color at this stage. So yeah, her fate's going to be quite interesting. She may have to do a little bit of traveling in her future. So to that end, we can actually play around a bit, rewire, do some interesting things on her to sort of get her to a roadworthy state. And eventually she'll probably get redone again. But yeah, that gives us time to fiddle, play, and do whatever. So yeah, this is Papa Smurf's engine. My brother and I built it up a couple of years together. We run it in on a test bench, and it is literally ready to go for fun. I've done a bit of work on the brakes, done a little bit of work modifying. As I said, she had an interesting story. Her pan was actually destroyed from rust or whatever, and my brother, put a whole new pan in, or had it put in for us, with a crisscross design. So you can maybe later get into that, but it's as sturdy and as strong as anything, and probably will float better than the original. Yeah, she needs a lot of love. Hood lining, every single wire was ripped out of the dash. So yeah, she's a little work in progress that needs a bit of love and attention. So yeah, let's find out all the disastrous stuff is and get it going. Yeah, so just as a side note, as you can see, I don't exactly have a face for TV. Mind you, I don't have a voice for radio either. But it's all amateur kind of mission, and during the COVID pandemic and all of that, I started with this little project. So a lot of the stuff's basically just a one-man show. So yeah, just get your vomit cups out and bear with us. Hopefully we can all learn something. Hopefully we can have some fun, and maybe you can save yourself some bucks and get your Beetle on the road. So yeah, let's do this. Alright, long awaited reuse your old wiring in your Beetle attempt at a YouTube video. Okay, right before we jump in, we just check out some of the mess we got going down here. Got some, so those used to probably go to the brake switch. Okay, we've got our main harness here. This particular model, the main harness goes down to the bottom. Some of the later models actually, or earlier models rather, went up through the top and ran along inside the channel in here. But for safety reasons and whatever, they had to redesign the cars and made these channels become a bit thinner, or this channel, so it wasn't feasible for wires to go through. But the concept's pretty much the same all the way through. Over the years they added one or two extra things. So there you can see the wire, the harness coming through, goes through the body there. The joy of this car is that the carpeting's been taken out, so that'll cruise through there. Again, traditionally your regulator wasn't inside the car, it was somewhere else, close to the engine. And then with this modification, instead of going through the hood lining and so on, for the channels, they brought it out here. Little two mounting points there for it. And here are a couple of wires that come through here. Now these wires are split, so when we get into testing the wires later to see the feasibility of reusing them, we can then take we need to bear that in mind, obviously. Okay, then they come out the back here. There it comes through the back side above, basically your fender, if you will, your mudguard, whatever of the car. Now, firstly you'll notice on this, these wires actually look like they've been quite badly burnt. That's obviously heat from the engine. The joke here is that it's probably just the tape they've put on, and they're probably good underneath. So let's see what we can do there. Well, as you can see, a fair amount of tape removal has revealed quite a few interesting things. For example, we've got some wires which are just badly joined. Looking at the end of these wires, some of them are a little bit cracked and broken, but mostly on the end, not really anywhere else. This one, if memory serves, is the tail lights for the driver's side. They took a bit of damage just to the harness. To the harness a bit there. But not. I wouldn't say that they're totally forgotten. Let's go. And then moving on. We notice another crack there. It's locked down, and one there. And then that's really it. Then the wire's relatively soft all the way up to here. But unfortunately, as you can see, things weren't so good here. These guys didn't necessarily short out on each other, but the harness got insanely hot and melted. Again, over here we see someone's joined a blue wire to a white wire. So when you're trying to do DIY wiring and that kind of stuff, you got a white wire in the front and a blue wire at the back, you kind of start going a bit crazy. So okay, then these two, I don't know, they were chopped off. They look like they took quite a bit of heat. So if you want to make a DIY video on how to reuse your old wiring, this is a fantastic start. Alright, so here we are. Last time we played, had a bit of an issue with the wiring and realized that a lot of it had gotten burnt. I'm gonna say it didn't get burnt because of short or whatever. Something happened here to this vehicle, and my best guess is someone came and welded it closed. They tried to do a bit of body work. It's only really evident here in the back, and as things happened, a bit of heat, a bit of welding, I think the harness caught fire. As you may remember, there was a whole ton of wires that got damaged, but we'll get to that now. On further inspection, it's not actually that bad. So what I've done is I've pulled the harness out. I used this steel wire. You can use nylon or a rope or whatever, just to be careful. Right in the back here, it can scratch it, so it might be good just to get someone to spot you while you're doing it, or pull a little bit and come and check every time, because bits of it will get stuck. Alright, so what I've done is I've got an old harness out of another beetle, a much later model. I was very tempted to use it for the diagnostics tool, which BWP doesn't even own anymore. But I've decided, looking at it and the condition of it, that I'm going to use it as donor wire. What's fantastic about having the donor wire in this case is the wires are similar in color, and I think one of the wires we may have to replace there is black and spotted. No, or is it green and spotted? We'll get into that now. So it's very similar wiring. The links are there. For example, here, this is your original going to the generator. Now, at the end here, this wire it's rotten, it's done. Sorry, this is going to the front of the car. See, it's like literally breaking to pieces. But then over here, it's soft, supple, virtually brand new, untouched. So my plan is, whoa, that didn't sound good. This is obviously our initial wire going from the front to the back, with its glorious burn there, and then also hectic cracking here. So I'll obviously take that wire, which is actually the exact same wire, cut it shorter, put a lug on each end, and there we go. Same with this brown wire, which literally goes from the engine bay to the regulator, and then this green one. So that eliminates 3 very, very badly damaged wires that would have had to be joined, which can get a bit dodgy. So basically then coming back to the wiring here, you've got your short end, which is on the passenger side or the driver's side if you're in the States. And there they are. They're good still. They've even got some of their pins on the front. After further inspection, the wire that comes out of the light is going to be long enough to go in here at a different position to where it was. But it's, as you can see, it's literally, for lack of better words, an inch shorter than it should be. So joining that like these guys did is a waste of time. I'm just going to make the wire coming out of the light longer. Obviously, there's our common, I'm guessing that's the brake line, which goes back to these two. Again, not even a couple of, it's not even worth mentioning that the join needed on it. This one the same. There and back, obviously, to this part of the harness, and they're perfect. So at the end of the day, after breaking all this down, we've got these 2 wires that got a bit burnt, as you can check there, and this one that are tore, which is actually fine, but I think for the purposes of just working nicely, I want to lengthen it and put them back in. Yeah. Okay, so what I've also done, obviously this is my original harness that went from the back to the front, and this part got a little bit melted, so I've had to cut it. So what I've done is I've taken a good section of that harness, my donor harness, I've pre-cut it. It's a little bit thicker, which is going to make it much easier to install, pushing the wires back through. And ironically, it's done the same twist that the front of my harness has got. So at the end of the day, only a real purist is going to know what we did here. So we're just about ready to seal up our wires. I've soldered them and joining them. You can check online for a way to do it. So a little trick that I like to do is I've already done the one. Get your shrink sleeving on, then you get a second one to help get the insulation the way it should be, or too close to the standard as possible. Fix it up a bit. And that gives you that double insulation that you're looking for, just in case the wires do rub against something else. And yeah, we'll let that cool down, and we're going to chuck it in its sheathing. Right, so we've got all our wires back in the loom, the red and white rather, the brown, the green that got damaged, and we've taped them all up. And now we're going to do an attempt to push them into the new loom, as it were. Just gently tug them in with a tiny bit of force. So getting a bit tighter there as we get past there. Right, and there we are. We're poking out the other end, a little bit to go. I'm going to pull it the rest of the way. We'll check in a few.